We have some huge New York Rangers news and updates to take a look at here today involving one of the New York Rangers' top forward prospects or prospects in general, Brennan Othmann, and his situation to start this upcoming season, as well as a huge new deal was signed on Sunday morning with the Boston Bruins as Jeremy Swayman ended up signing his massive new deal with that team. So we're going to take a look at how that could have a pretty big effect on what Igor Shesterkin's next contract could look like. So let's start off here by talking about the Igor Shesterkin kind of contract situation and how I think the Swayman deal could have a pretty big effect there. So if you don't know, Jeremy Swayman is the starting goaltender for the Boston Bruins. He had an absolutely phenomenal playoff run with the Bruins there, carrying them quite a ways throughout this past playoff run. Ended up obviously losing to the eventual Stanley Cup champions, Florida Panthers. Same with the Rangers there. But the Bruins and Swayman, they had a bit of issues there, obviously coming to an agreement, but they finally came and got a deal done there, which I suspected they would. I also got Swayman on my fantasy team as well, so I'm kind of happy about that. But in general there, though, this new deal will have a pretty big impact there. Yes, I do think Igor is right now definitely a better goaltender overall than a guy like Jeremy Swayman. Yes, I would say that, but you take a look at the kind of age on these guys as well. Swayman is pretty much exactly about 3 years younger than Igor, so that kind of plays into a bit of effect there as well. You take a look at the actual numbers also throughout the regular season and the playoffs. Igor definitely has quite a few more games played and a much bigger sample size than Swayman does compared to Igor, but the numbers definitely do say that Igor has been playing better in the playoffs and in the regular season, as well as you take a look at kind of what Igor has done throughout the regular season. His numbers over his entire career so far: 213 games played. He's got 921 save percentage and a 2.43 goals against average. He also won the Vezina Trophy there and also finished top 5 this past season as well. You take a look at the playoffs there for Igor. He has 44 career games played, started all 44 of those, and also has a 928 save percentage with a 2.41 goals against average. Those numbers are absolutely amazing. And then you take a look here at Jeremy Swayman, who the numbers are still great, but not quite as good as Igor, with a 919 save percentage in the regular season with 132 games played. And then you take a look at his goals against average, a 2.34. And for the playoffs, you have 20 career games played. He's got 18 starts, a 922 save percentage, and a 2.38 goals against average. So those numbers are absolutely amazing by Swayman. Are they as good as the Rangers goaltender and Igor Shesterkin? I would say not. And Jeremy Swayman's actual deal that he signed with the Boston Bruins Sunday morning was an 8-year deal worth $8.25 million per season. So a cap hit of just over $8 million, and total it comes to $66 million. So 23 of that 66 ended up being in bonuses with a no trade clause as well. So I think that's a pretty fair contract for a guy of Jeremy Swayman's caliber. Obviously, I mean, they had definitely some issues getting to this number here, but they finally both came to the number there and got that deal done for the Bruins and Swayman. I think this is a good deal for both sides here. And for the Rangers, this is kind of good for us as well. Swayman is one of the top goaltenders in the entire NHL, alongside Igor Shesterkin. So personally, when you take a look at their age there, with Swayman being 3 years younger there and him not being that much worse in the regular season or the playoffs in a smaller sample size, personally, I don't see how we should be offering a guy like Igor, an 8-year deal at well over $10 million. Now, maybe it is an 8-year deal at $10 million flat, and I'm not going to cry if that happens. But, if we're getting into that kind of 8-year deal range where we're looking at, $10.5 to $11 million, that's where I'm going to kind of start to be like really cursory. You're canning out that much money to a guy like Igor after Jeremy Swayman, a goaltender who was right behind Igor, not too far back, who's 3 years younger, ended up signing a much cheaper deal, almost $3 million less possibly. So personally, I really don't think Igor should be getting way over $10 million at this point. It seemed like he was going to report that he wanted quite a bit more than $10 million, but at this point, personally, Chris Drury really should not be handing out much more than that number. And now we're going to talk about the big news and kind of updates surrounding one of the top Rangers prospects in Brennan Othmann. He ended up getting assigned to the AHL alongside with Ryder Korczak, which isn't too much of a surprise, but personally, I really wanted and thought Brennan Othmann deserved a spot on this third line. I think from what he's kind of done throughout, last season in the AHL there, I think he had a pretty good rookie season down there, but also with what he's done so far throughout this preseason, and I get it, preseason doesn't matter a whole lot, but from what he's kind of shown there with his capabilities, kind of what he can do in his play style and stuff like that, with that physicality, that toughness, that grittiness, that bit of an edge that he plays with at moments, the kind of a bit of a rattiness at moments as well. And trust me, he can be a bit of a rat out there at times as well. So he's a guy who you kind of hate to play against because he can piss you off, get under your skin, but also has that kind of great scoring ability as well, the good playmaking, the great offensive ability to be a great threat there, but also be somewhat all right defensively as well. Not a great defensive winger, but not bad, not a liability, but also be that physical presence as well. I think that kind of a player type fits perfectly on this Rangers team, especially in a third line role. And I do really want to hear your thoughts as Rangers fans as well in the comment section down below. Are you happy that Othmann is being assigned down to the AHL there, where he'll seemingly start this upcoming season? And I guarantee pretty much that he's going to feature, obviously, with this team at some point at the NHL level. But to start the season, it seems like he's going to be down there in the AHL, which personally, I think it's a little unfortunate there. He's a young guy, yes, and definitely has a lot more room to develop and get better and grow as a player. But personally, I think in a third line role, alongside guys like potentially, a Will Cooley or a Kakko as his wing partner on that third line, and then having the center be Filipino, I think could have worked out pretty great, as Othmann can play on the left and right side. So, you could play left wing and have Kakko on the right wing with Hedl as a center. You could have Othmann on the right wing, Hedl as a center, and kind of Cooley as that left winger. So there are definitely some combinations we could have seen for that third line there with Othmann. Obviously, at this point, it seems like we're not going to see that, at least for opening night, which is unfortunate there, but still, Othmann can go down there to the AHL, where he ended up having a pretty great rookie season last year and kind of develop hopefully into a better player, a more well-rounded player, and kind of work on a few things there as well, and possibly end up being a much better overall player by the time he actually comes up at some point throughout this season. So it's not the biggest deal in the world, but personally, I really did want to see him start with this team. I thought he played great through the preseason there, and definitely his kind of play style fits this team's needs quite well. And I would say a clear factor in why Othmann did get sent down to the AHL is the fact that there are quite a few guys kind of fighting for the kind of third line wing spots there on this Rangers team. You have guys like Adam Edstrom, Jimmy Vesey, Will Cooley, Kaapo Kakko. Those are kind of the main guys I would say truly fighting for spots on that third line at this point. So I'm not terribly surprised there that we obviously didn't see Othmann get that chance there to start this upcoming season. But like I said, I really do think we're going to see him at some point throughout this upcoming season, whether it is due to poor play, injuries, whatever it is. I'm sure we'll see him at some point throughout this season, and definitely could be a really nice guy to kind of have possibly come in here. Maybe he starts off really hot in the AHL there, has, like a decent amount over a point per game after 10 games possibly, then gets a call up there and ends up coming in the Rangers third line there, playing alongside like, let's say, Hedl and Kakko. Maybe that line ends up dominating there and end up being one of the better lines, third lines in all of hockey. That is definitely a possibility. I think Othmann is a great player, and Hedl and Kakko, Cooley, whoever he's playing with on that third line there, it definitely could be a pretty great match. Anyways, I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, definitely hit that like and subscribe button for a ton more New York Rangers content. If you are a Rangers fan, there's no better place to be on YouTube than this channel. So definitely hit that like and subscribe button. It helps with the channel a ton. I really appreciate it, and it is free to do as well, which is great for everyone. And also, don't forget to comment down below your thoughts on Igor's next deal after the news we got here with Jeremy Swayman's new contract. That definitely can have a pretty big effect on Igor's new contract, as well as Othmann. Brennan Othmann, one of the top Rangers prospects, being sent down to the AHL after myself kind of presuming he had a decent shot at possibly making the team. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next one. See ya.